Today is link building dead in the age of AI? So the next few slides and information that me and Kylie have pulled together, we're going to discuss a number of different topics, what good link building and SEO looks like, how they all work together, and as we're moving more into Google AI overviews, what this means for us and how it is going to work in AI and how the industry might look moving forward.
Cool. So to set us off, we've just got a poll that we'd like you to take part in, just to find out more kind of what the opinions of everyone watching today is of link building at the minute. Is link building currently part of your SEO strategy at the minute? Hopefully that's popped up for you all now, so you can add your votes in.
Yeah, just let us know if that has popped up. That'd be good to know. So from a little bit of the feedback, I can see we are having tech issues, which fantastic. But that is okay. So what we will do is we can move on to the next slide and just
Cool.
keep moving forward.
Oh, there.
We can see responses now. So
Yeah.
as we can see from there, over 63% of you, yes, already do a big part of link building, and it's an important part of your SEO strategy. A number of you said yes, but are not consistent with it. And then a number of you either don't do it, thankfully, none of you believe that you don't see a point in it. And a number of you are unsure as well. So that's good to see.
Cool. So just going into the next slide, obviously the poll is quite reflective of what we're seeing in the wider SEO industry, I guess, at the minute as well. Kind of according to some, yes, links are important. We've got kind of some articles on the side that Google are, through tweets they put out or through language they use in different talks they're doing, Google are confirming that yes, links are not important or are important, but then according to others, no, it's not important. And we're going to go through, I guess, our deck today is all about telling you why we think link building is still important, definitely, and what we can see from stuff Google has shared recently. So just starting off, we can see that obviously a big topic in the industry is about number of links versus quality of links. And what this graph shows is this is an example of a prospect that we were recently pitching for and looking into, where we can see referring domains over the last year have been increasing, but there's been no impact whatsoever on domain rating. So this is an example of where if you're building the wrong type of links, no, number of links does not equal higher ranks overall. On the flip side, there's no denying that site authority does have an impact on ranking ability. So this article is summarising a test that was done, a little experiment by The Verge, which is a very authoritative tech news site. And this was basically a test from them to see whether they could get their nonsense article around the best printer in 2024 outranking lots of other genuine printer review blogs. And what we saw from that was they did get to the first ranking. I have been checking it since reading the article and it's fluctuated a little bit. I saw it down to position 4 at one bit, but on a check this morning in my exact location, on my laptop, obviously up here in Leeds, they were in first position again. So there is no denying that to some degree, if you get to the point where your website is so authoritative and has so much power, they've got a DR of 92, 19.8 million backlinks, 3.5 million keyword rankings, it proves that at that point, you will rank no matter what you put on site. You have a lot of authority, but this is not something that like a small new site could expect to achieve. They've earned their authority and their ranking power over time. So what we need to take into account as part of a ranking strategy for SEO is all 3 of the different SEO pillars, and they all need attention to work together to create a holistic SEO strategy for any website, you can't do one and not the other. We've got to have a mix of all three.
Yeah, we often see that clients want to try and take a mixture of either more technical or more content, or they want some link building. And our recommendations overall is that you need to do all three to get the success that you're looking for. But off the back of this, we do have another poll, so let's hope that the tech works this time. So it is just, which is the most important factor for SEO performance? Is it technical, content, or links? Or do you believe it's a mixture of all three like we do? We'll just give you a few seconds to vote on this. If everyone placed their votes now, we could look at the responses. And we can see that 98% of you believe that it's a mixture of all three. Might be because of what me and Carly have just said about it. But then obviously there's a number there that believe that content is important, is the most important factor. So it'd be interesting to maybe hear who voted for that and their reasonings why, and we could have a discussion around that further as well, if you wanted to.
Well, to be honest, a lot of the time, which is the most important factor can depend on the size of the website. So as this little graphic that we've got here shows that kind of as a website increases in size, we often need to put more reliance on the technical side of the site. Kind of if we get an e-com site with hundreds of categories, thousands of products, it'd be quite easy for the website to get a little bit out of control technically wise. So we require a bit more attention to making sure relevant pages are accessible and ones that we don't want to rank are blocked, making sure like a hierarchy is established so Google knows what your most important pages are, etc. So this requires much more technical strategy and monitoring over time. However, a smaller site in a more niche industry isn't likely to have a lot of technical problems. We still need to set up the technical foundations, but the focus would be more on kind of expanding and optimizing the content for your target keywords over time. So it's just a little bit of a graphic there to give you an idea of how these three pillars all come into play for every website, but depending on the size of the website you own, you may have a different view on that question we asked you before. So, as I said before, no matter what the site is, no matter what the size of the website is, technical foundations are essential to ensure the site can be accessed by Google and therefore have the ability to rank. So we need to ensure that Google can crawl, index, and then rank the pages, which is the kind of process in very, very simple terms, which Google goes through to determine rankings. If any technical fault is at play, stopping Google from accessing your pages at all, no amount of content or links is going to matter at that point. If you've accidentally disallowed the whole site in the robots.txt, for example, it doesn't matter what's on them pages. Google isn't seeing it in the first place, so they can't rank it. So technical is essential.
It's good that you've put that and talked about how essential technical is. Some of the feedback we've had is that the person who voted for content has put, I voted for content as you can't build successful links or reader engagement without quality content. A good content foundation can help build you success in other areas. I completely agree with that. But obviously there is the tech side as well, where if your site is fundamentally not working and has tech issues, the content's not going to be linkable, it's not going to be easy to read, it's not going to be engaging for an audience. So again, it goes back to the mindset of if you were looking after all three areas of your SEO, they all complement each other and work together.
Yeah, definitely. And that, I guess, the response leads us on to talking about why the content strategy is important. So the content strategy is required to provide the helpful content to users that Google wants to see. So writing real, genuine, helpful content for users, not just for the purposes of purely ranking, and demonstrating through EEAT, which I'm sure a lot of you will have heard of, to demonstrate why you're a qualified source of information to talk about the topic that you are. So EEAT stands for experience, expertise, authority, and trust. And these are what we want to be showing through a mixture of both our content, And it pulls links into this as well, because links are also something that's required for this once the content's on the site. If other sites are referencing your content within theirs, this again proves your trustworthiness, shows why you're an authority, again showing how all these factors link together.
So after that, you want to discuss with like why is link building required for this and why it's important for brands. So link building is required because it helps search engines to find and rank your pages, whether it's a product page or a home page. So we need to be building those links on third-party sites to help bring in that search traffic to your pages. It helps build the overall authority of your website as well, and helps Google recognize that you're an authority within your sector or industry. It helps increase your overall visibility and exposure on third-party sites, which helps with your Google rankings and building up a strong backlink profile, which is going to help you get onto pages 1 and 2 of Google, which is where everybody wants to be. And then it can also lead to an improvement in sales and revenue. If we're getting links to products, it's then driving people to site who are then more likely to purchase. And it's kind of that full circle moment of if it's ranking on Google, you can be found easily enough, people will go onto the site and then purchase what you want them to purchase. But aside from the link building element, there is a lot more to it that is behind just links. It's also going back to the PR and the digital PR, however it's worded or phrased in your business. But the benefits of PR and online PR overall is that it drives brand awareness against your competitors and makes you more well-known within your audiences and where you want to be known. It does continue to drive just regular traffic to the site. Even if people aren't purchasing, they will just come to your site, and if you've got good content, read your blog content. It engages your audience. It lets them know that you're there and makes you visible to them. It can support wider business campaigns. So if you are launching a new product, it is helping to build that and get that out there. And it enhances your credibility as well. If you are seen to have a strong online PR presence, you're more trustworthy and builds that credibility with your audience. So here are just a number of the different tactics that online PR covers and what is required to be successful in online PR. And these are some of, just going to chat through some of these. So there is creative campaigns. So these are big, splashy shout outs to the media. They often include infographics, quizzes, videos, something engaging that is going to grab your audience's attention and make you appealing to third-party sites to link to. Press mailers, which is something that we do as an agency. So it's having a constant, steady stream of news coming out of the business, whether it's discussing a seasonal event like Halloween or Christmas, or if there's Black Friday or anything like that. And then also it could be an informative piece of content. Influencers, they are often a really good area to explore and get links from. And they obviously have a very engaged and trusted fan base or audience that people will trust. Partnerships. So if you work as a business with other trusted businesses and you work with them well, you could ask them to give you some links on their sites, whether that's through reciprocated blog content or just being listed on their suppliers page. It can then help build up that backlink profile, which you need to have a very organic spread of links, which Google loves. And then something that we do as an agency, which is kind of like always ongoing backlink building, is looking for brand mentions and broken links. So if your brand is mentioned in an article or a website online and doesn't link to your site, we would outreach to them and ask for a link to be included. Again, it is just building those links for you. And the same with broken links. If a link is broken on a website, we would outreach to them and ask for it to be repaired, because it's important that you don't have loads of broken backlinks to your site, because from a tech perspective, it just looks really messy to Google and we wouldn't want that. So we want to clean that up.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, some of the like prospects and people we're talking to at the minute when we've been doing pitches as an agency, there's a bit of a misconception between like what online PR is versus what link building is. And we've heard like people don't kind of like to use the terms interchangeably. And whilst they are both separate things, kind of online PR is one tactic of link building. There's obviously benefits in both that we're talking about here, but I know that's something we've noticed quite a bit at the minute in Matt.
Yeah, I think sometimes different agencies have different wording for it, whether it's digital PR, online PR, link building. So it's just understanding what an agency is going to deliver for you. Ace. So then something that's quite important to us as an agency and anyone that's within the digital PR sector that we're really focused on is around the relevancy of links and the authority of links and where agencies are going to be getting your links from. Often you can see some agencies who are going to promise you hundreds and hundreds of links, but the sites that they're getting them from aren't relevant to your audience or don't have the authority that you need them to have. So as an agency, we focus on very much looking at this pyramid of we want to get you high domain ranking authoritative links from like your top tiers, your industry publications, partnerships, blogs, and social media influencers, but we also want to ensure that they're relevant for your audience as well. There's no point getting you a link somewhere where it isn't going to lead to an interest or a potential sale, or where they're just not going to click through to your site because it's not relevant to them. So relevancy is really key when building links.
Well, so to link this all back to whether link building is required in the age of AI, as we promised through the title of this webinar,
We
we'll
didn't just go off on a tangent, did we, at all? It is coming back to something.
yeah, I also want to apologise, Matt. I didn't press forward to skip your slide before. It's the automated animations.
I just thought you were bored of me, Kyle, and wanted to skip over me.
Yeah, I thought I'd better
You
clarify
talk
that
too
because
much.
everyone will just think I'm trying to shut you up. Which
I mean, probably.
So yeah, to link back to this, we've just got some of the headlines we've been seeing recently and a lot of the SEO news sites we keep up to date on all the time. So unless you've been living under a rock recently, you've probably seen a couple of the biggest updates in the SEO world recently include number one, Google's AI overviews coming into play, and number two, the big Google leak that came out, I think a week or two ago now. So we'll be going into these in more details in all the slides to come. But AI overviews obviously is a new SERP feature appearing on the SERPs, mainly in the US at the minute, but also on selected UK accounts now, taking up a lot of space, shaking up the SERPs again, much like when featured snippets were first introduced kind of a few years ago. I am fortunate enough to be one of those lucky UK accounts that's been chosen to have AI overviews visible to me. So that's
Special.
obviously great for us working here.
SEO superstar, that's why.
I know, they must have known. Um, and then also with the leak, obviously a lot of SEOs, people in the industry have read that, and basically it's just kind of clarification that everything we thought was having an impact before on rankings definitely is. So a lot of SEOs that have already been doing the right thing, having a good strategy set out, before have kind of read that and thought there's nothing we need to change from that. It's just another way to kind of speak to, I guess, our clients and show that we really do need to do this now. We literally have it from Google in kind of plain text that this is the strategy we need to go forward with. So just to show anyone who, I guess, isn't familiar with this, this is just showing you what AI overviews looks like in practice on the SERPs. So I'll just note here, because we'll be coming back to this in a few slides' time. You'll see that our site, Modo25, is down here, but currently not within the AI overview. We're there, we've got the featured snippet. But what we did was ran a bit of an experiment only over a couple of days to see whether we could get a page that we knew were ranking well already by some on-page tweaks and things that we'd read about how to get into AI overviews, whether they'd work. So just before we go any further into that, got just another poll for you all to take part in. We wondered who has been lucky enough to see an AI overview so far in search results. Just wait for the results to pop up.
I mean, that's pretty much what we expected, isn't it? Because I haven't seen it appear yet on my Google, but you have, Kylie.
Yeah.
And yeah, not a lot of people have seen it yet over in the UK. It's definitely more US focused for now, but I think it's probably going to roll out here eventually. So the people that may have been viewing it might be doing it for a VPN.
Yeah, it's something we were looking into. We do also have a few clients that focus in the US. So it's something we've been having to track kind of outside of the UK as best we can as well. But I wasn't expecting many of the people watching, if we're all a lot of us are UK based, to have seen them. So on the next slide, we've just got a short video here. For those who haven't seen them, just to go back to basics and show you what an AI overview is. This video is showing you how an AI overview is formed on the SERP. So kind of once you run a search, they have to take a couple of seconds to generate, and then you see how they're just small at first, and then you have to click to expand them in full.
And this is something with AI as well, isn't it? It's generative AI, so it's pulling information from other sources of the web to give that banner at the top, which has additional information which might not necessarily be from you as a client if you're not engaging in link building.
Yeah, something else to note as well is that for some people listening who might be a bit confused because we're calling it Google AI overviews, this was referenced as search generative experience before, and in all the news articles, it was like SGE is coming. All of a sudden, it was launched, and Google never kind of officially ever said we're changing it to call it Google AI overviews, just started using the term. So it's definitely gone through a bit of a rebrand since it's been launched as well.
It launched in May, wasn't it, that it first came out, and we'd started working on this webinar before all of this, so we kind of have to adapt what this meant, and it's very much it's happening as we're speaking now. It's still changing, and brands are going to have to become more aware of it. So it's definitely like a live moving part of the industry.
Yeah, definitely. But basically what you need to know is it's a new SERP feature that sits above all the organic results on the SERP. So it's definitely something that if you do have pretty strong rankings at the minute, if you've got some first position or top 3 rankings, you're going to be pushed further down the SERP if an AI overview is being generated on the SERP you're currently ranking on. It normally does sit across the top of the paid results as well. It is usually the first snippet, as we can see on that video that I put in this slide. But I have now sometimes seen instances of paid ads sitting above the overview. So again, it just shows how quickly this is still changing over time. I think Google themselves are still trying to get this right, to be honest.
I think something that's worth mentioning is that some of the information or the questions that it responds, or the overviews that it comes back with, contains links to information from third-party sources. So this links into why it is important to have links on external sources and link building, online PR, or digital PR, however you want to refer to it as, because that can help pull into your AI overview.
Yeah, there is definitely as well amongst the SEO industry, a range of opinions on whether this is a good thing, bad thing. A lot of people doing studies on this have found kind of really nonsense answers coming up for some things as well. Obviously, with it being AI generated and it just going through this language model and trying to learn what answers it's meant to be giving. One article that I read was, I can't remember what the question was now, but it was the answer was basically giving you the advice to eat rocks to solve this medical issue, which is definitely not something that Google will want to be recommending anything to do. So yeah, a number of SEOs are monitoring things like that. And I think that's why at one point the AI overviews were present on about over 80% of search results when first launched, but they've been scaled back now. And in a recent study, they've only been found to be shown on around 15%. So you can see that Google are just still trying to get it right and tone it down until they're ready to roll them out a bit wider.
Definitely a work in progress then for Google.
Yeah. So to go, if I can click onto the next slide, start playing the video again, how the AI answers are formed, what we've got here, again, once you get access to this, you'll be able to click this link, learn more about generative AI, and that is just some Google documents about it. Obviously, if you want to read a bit more about how they're generating them and what you should be doing to ranking them, we're going to go through some stuff today, but gives you a bit more of an in-depth view from Google themselves. But in a very basic overview, AI answers are formed from Google by pulling data from across the internet. So obviously they're just looking across all sources that they have access to find information about the query that the user has put into their Google search. And bringing it back to our experiment that I touched on just at the start of this section, our little tweaks did work, and we managed to move into the first position of the AI overview in less than 2 days. So this was, like I said, we already ranked well for it. We had the featured snippet, and it was a case of doing a few simple on-page tweaks to exactly match the wording of the current answer. Again, going back to the fact that these are often changing after we managed to rank in this, we were monitoring this query afterwards, kind of checking daily and taking screenshots, and the answer was changing daily just by small tweaks all the time. So we would occasionally change positions, and rather than being the first website linked to, we'd become the second website linked to, or we'd drop down. Once you expanded that, there was even another set of links, we'd drop into that. We dropped out completely one day, we came back in. So you can just see how much these are changing over time as Google, the AI model, is trying to learn and provide the best answers it can. But what is interesting to note in this example is between the other sites that were present within that AI answer before we started ranking is actually the domain rating of them. And you can see from this graph that all the rest of the sources in there were really authoritative domains with a lot more authority than ours. So I think this just again proves it's not just solely link building that is required. Obviously, the whole point of this webinar is to tell you why it's still important, but also give you that view of it's important as part of a holistic SEO strategy with solid technical foundations, good content as well. Of course, dependent on the type of search query, the intent behind it, you're going to get different sites ranking based on whether they're just more relevant for the query. So yeah, definitely interesting to see that we could rank so easily above those in the AI overview, despite not having a stronger domain rating as some of these sources. So AI overviews can also show, obviously that was quite an informational search, but they are also showing for searches that return branded results. So this is where I guess the digital PR side of it and the link building comes in, because brand reputation management is quite important to manage what gets pulled into an AI summary that is about your brand. Obviously, again, if you're looking on the SERPs regularly, you'll have noticed that Google's picking up Reddit a lot more and showing a lot more Reddit answers in the SERPs. So you can see where Google are looking nowadays to find information, and Reddit showing up on the SERPs could be a really bad thing for some brands, because people can often get a little bit of a bad reputation in a place like that, a forum like that. So it's really about managing what's out there about your brand, which obviously PR can help with. And this isn't necessarily link building, it's just the coverage of the digital PR helps to manage what is out there on the internet, whether it links to you or not, what is accessible to Google, and what they can pull in about your brand. And if you're proactively managing that, it helps you control the narrative a little bit more about what gets shown for your brand.
Yeah, we'd seen it recently with one business that were having a crisis or some issues, and the news that was being pulled through was overall quite negative, wasn't it? Even though that it doesn't represent the whole brand, it meant though that that's what people were being served with straight away. So it's important for brands to, like as Kyla says, have an approach of you've always got to have an always on positive outreach of coverage and links to get that approach, and hopefully it will pull through those results rather than any negative stories or anything like that.
Yeah. Oh, skipped on again. All in all, our message is how to improve your chances of getting into an AI overview answer is basically just making sure that you become such a presence in the data that Google is using to pull their answer that they link to your site. Again, that's whether the query is informational, commercial, or branded. You just need to be out there as much as you can with as much information to make sure that you get pulled in there. So moving on to the leak, and we've got a couple of slides on this with some insights into how Google uses links for ranking purposes that we can see from the leak, and then what the link actually means for link building. So these phrases on the screen at the minute that might not mean much to some of you are kind of these are different modules from the leak that we saw from Google. And what these refer to is giving us an insight into what Google are looking at through them. So, for example, site authority being shown in there, Google have tried to deny time and time again that they don't have kind of an authority metric. Obviously, as SEOs, we often use Ahrefs domain rating or SEMrush's authority score to give us a measure of domain authority so we can work towards improving that. But Google have always said they don't calculate an actual authority figure like that. This actually implies that, yes, they do, despite them saying that. Again, it just shows what we thought we were doing right before we are, because that is what they're looking for. The ones on the second line, the anchor mismatch, demotion, and the context shows that Google are looking for relevant sources, and they are looking at kind of the content surrounding a link, surrounding the actual anchor text that's used as the link. They want to know that the article that's linking to you is relevant, and it's not again, is it a paid link that's just stuck on there, or is it actually used within a blog, within the content, and you're just providing some helpful information to support their own blog? That's going to have more kind of authority for you than being just randomly placed. And the bottom line just shows that kind of, again, as we imagined, despite Google saying they're not, bad toxic links are a thing. And Google are kind of trying to calculate through the phrase anchor spam count, how many spam phrases are found in anchors, and looking at all these kind of things, how we would describe a bad link. So it gives you some insight into what Google are actually looking at. This is just a snapshot. There is obviously thousands of different modules discussed in that we didn't want to bore you with today. But just to show you an example of some of those we found.
Ace, so what does that actually mean? The link mean for link building and online PR? So some of the key takeaways that we found from it is that relevancy is still key. You need to be securing links as a brand on websites that, one, are relevant for your brand and relevant in terms of the authority as a news site. So you need to ensure that whatever strategy you're implementing for link building, that you are only targeting relevant websites for your brand. Another key takeaway from it was you need to keep your links fresh. It's all good and well saying, we did some link building 6 months ago, but you've got to have an always on approach with that and a strategy behind it for your link building and online PR. And just to keep having that content being pushed out, promoted, securing coverage, securing links, just to keep it fresh for Google so they know. Another one was high quality news sites. So this is just ensuring that you were targeting the sites like The Guardian, BBC, news sites that are relevant to the sector that your brand are operating in, just to ensure that you're getting that relevancy and authority that you need. As Kylie already mentioned, toxic links and spammy links. We want to try and avoid these at all costs. These are just not going to have any impacts on your SEO and link building. Trusted sources. So it's just ensuring that Google can look at the probability of a trusted source of where the link is. So you want to make sure that the links that you are securing are trusted, and you want to be conscious of that in your outreach. And then the final takeaway was around local links. So when we say local, we mean to the country that your business is operating in. It's probably different if you're a global business, but if you operate within the UK, you want to ensure that you're getting as many links as possible from UK-based sites. And rather than getting them from all over the globe, they're going to have less of a positive impact for you than what you think they might have. So yeah, those are some of our key takeaways for link building. It's stuff that we already do as an agency and talk about as an agency. So it's kind of reaffirms our approach for clients as well. So that's always positive to see for us. But if you are implementing or working on a link building strategy, you just need to ensure that you're covering all of these areas so that Google recognizes you in a good way.
Cool. And we've almost made it to the end and we're making quite good time, Matt. I was thinking we were going to go over because I know what we can be like once we start yapping together.
This is good for us. I'm proud of us.
We're on to the key takeaways slide. So just to reaffirm everything that we've been talking about already, obviously the main message that we want to get across to you today is links are still important for SEO, despite some clickbait headlines that have been about recently, and despite what you may see on news sites. However, all three pillars of SEO require attention for a successful strategy. Links enough will not be enough for you to, links alone will not be enough for you to rank well.
And then, yeah, I think the last one, which is quite important, especially with AI overviews coming in, is coverage of your brand is more important than ever. Sometimes we have clients where if we don't get a link, there's a question of why come we didn't get a link, but now just getting brand awareness and getting coverage is also going to be just as important as Google AI overviews coming into power. So yeah, it is important as well to get brand mentions.
Yeah, again, that's where that kind of misconception of link building versus digital PR comes in. It's like the coverage is just as good for you as kind of the link is in different ways. And it's definitely, we need to aim to get both of those as part of the holistic strategy.
100%. As mentioned at the beginning, if anything we've talked about today is of interest, or if you would like to discuss your link building strategy or your SEO strategy, please feel free to reach out to the team at modo25.com and we can set up a meeting with myself or Kylie or some of the wider SEO team and we can discuss through whatever you need to, or if you've got any questions around that and we can help you out.
Cool. So just to wrap up with a couple of minutes left, if you do have any questions, feel free to pop them into the Q&A chat, and we'll be happy to answer them.
We've had some positive feedback, Kylie. We're not a question, but we've had some positive feedback.
Oh, nice. Always good to read.
I mean, we'll just give it a couple more minutes to see if anyone's got any questions.
Yeah, I mean, even if you don't have, if you have a bit of a longer question that you want to email through to us afterwards, that's fine as well. We can obviously get back to you, as we said, in another chat one-on-one rather than in front of everyone.
Yeah. Ace, that's brilliant. Well, thank you very much for everyone's time today. We really appreciate you coming. Oh, we have had one that was posted earlier. So it's, should we be disavowing low and toxic links or leaving them where they are and focusing on getting them in the future? I personally think that disavowing links isn't a bad idea. I think it just depends on what the focus of your strategy is. And it depends if you've got.
I'll go on, carry on.
No, I was going to say if you've got
Oh,
a huge amount of them, it's probably good to get rid of them.
To be honest, it really depends how much there is, but it's often kind of seen as you'd be better focusing on building new links than getting rid of the toxic links. Google have kind of come out and said they ignore them a lot of the time. Obviously, again, through the link, we can see they are looking at them and they are monitoring them, but they've got quite good at recognizing that a toxic link is kind of built, you've not done that on purpose, and then it's through an attack. So they do just ignore them most of the time. So kind of if you part of your strategy is just building rubbish links like that, it's just a waste of time to do that, basically.
Ace, I think that's our only question. Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for your time, everyone. We hope that it's been useful. And as we said, if you've got any questions, please reach out to the team. Yeah, thank you very much.
Cool. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, guys. Thank you.